to this week's angling blog. Today you join myself and Mark and we're on the banks of the canal and we're in search of pike. It's probably the third session we've done out for pike, and normally I just do a morning at this time of year. The first session, like you seen last week, I mixed in with a river session, which I'll put a link to the top of the screen now. But on that first session that Mark did, he got himself his first pike.
Yes.
And it was a nice start, wasn't it?
It was. I was made up with it. It's something I've never done before, so
it's good, isn't it?
Not being able to get out a lot through the summer with running the business. It's all new to me, and I thought might as well take it on. You've been with me carping through the summer, and
it's been a good adventure. The carping has been, it's been a completely different adventure for me, and I'm just hoping that in some way on this piking I can repay some of that kindness.
To catch that first pike was just...
It's different, isn't it, when the float goes?
Totally different, yeah. It's exciting fishing.
There's nothing quite like piking. You know there's a dead fish out there, and then next minute the float just twitches, and you're like lightning, aren't you? You're onto it straight away. So this isn't the first time we've been out. Mark, after his first pike, has been, I won't say he drags me out fishing, but he's been getting me out fishing after work for an hour or two each evening. So what I'll play now is, we went out one night and we had a bit of a result, didn't we? So I'll play that bit of footage now of that session. Right, so nipped up for the quick session on the canal. Mark's got into a bit of a better pike here. A nice bend in the rod. And he comes. Certainly a PB, better than his last one he had the other day. When he comes in. Yeah, definitely.
Double?
I'd say it's on the 6-7 pound mark. I don't think it's a double. Right, bring him in nice and slow. Right, this time. And in he comes. Right, and here's Mark with his second pike, 6.5 pound, and bit of a fight, eh?
Yeah, give me a bit of a fight, alright.
Good fight, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Got some power, haven't they? Especially as they're coming into October. They don't half go, and then it's more of a sharp fight in it. Lots of hard runs. Come on, a smelt, and that's a great start to the piking. Well done, mate. 6.5 pound. Second pike. Right, a few minutes later, 8.5 pound on the ledgered hebbing, and that's a great hour or hour and a half on the bank. A pike for Mark and a pike for myself. So let's get back to the blog. Right, so that was last week, Danny, signing off to the present day, and that was a short session, probably only about an hour and a half, something like that.
Yeah, if that.
And we're back on the same spot today. A 6 pound pike and a 8 pound pike. In an hour and a half, just set it off nicely. So it's 7:30 in the morning. The canal's just coming alive. The birds are coming alive, and there's just the first sign of fish topping. And the floats are out, and we'll have a quick look at where them floats are placed now. So bait wise, as you can see there, got my bait on a float, ledger tight against the cover, coming round, got Mark's bait, both on smelts. We come round again, we got Mark's other rod there, and then I've got a ledger further down the canal on a heaven. So they're the 4 baits, and fingers crossed one of them's going to pull away and slide off, and we'll be into our first desocks of the session. Well, that's the baits out. All you can do now is sit back and wait, and if carping's taught me one thing, it's how to wait. If you can't wait, you can't be a carper, can you?
Patience game.
Patience. So we're going to sit back, we're going to get the kettle on, and we'll make a brew. Mark just hooked into his first pike of the day, and it feels a better pike. It's taking some line. Yeah. Keep the pressure on. Yeah. Keep the pressure on him. So it could be a double figure pike. It definitely looks better than the other ones that we've had. So normally the sign is when it doesn't come off the top. You can see the pike there just under the water. Oh yeah. You're going to tail walk for us? These carpers, not used to proper fights. And there he is. And I would say, looking at it, that's Mark's first double figure pike in the net. I'm going to do a bit on unhooking. So Mark, what you do, get the pike like that, get your line out of the way, lie the pike on it down like that, and you put it between your legs, then it can't flip side to side, underneath your gill there, like that. You pull them out towards you and just tease the hooks out, and there you see the pike's completely unhooked. And first looks at her before she goes back in for the vest, I'd say that's probably 12 to 14 pound pike he's got there. A lovely fish. Let's get her in the margin to vest, and then we'll get a couple of photos and a vlog. Right, and here he is with his new PB, 14 pound 2 ounces. So how did that compare, Mark?
Oh, I'm absolutely made up with that one.
What was the fight like?
Amazing, absolutely amazing. It was only just, I just looked out, the float cocked, and before I got to it, it was under the water.
And that's what it's all about, and that's piking. And when you see that float switch, he was out that shelter, and he was gone. Well, fish. A lovely fish that, mate.
It is.
And that's a 16, 17 pound pike come February. A lovely fish in lovely condition. Get a quick close up of her for you. There's the business end. I think there's many a fish bin down that this summer. And there we go. A lovely fish. Let's get her back to where she belongs. Well done, mate, well done. Right, so I do a lot of talking on the blog. I think it's time for Mr. Mulcrone to take centre stage. What did you think of that?
Amazing, to be honest. I weren't expecting that. I looked out, the float had cocked, and by the time I got to it, it was under the water.
I must admit, you have got a bad knee, haven't you?
I have got a bad knee, yeah.
During the carping, like, he goes to them rods. He was like Usain Bolt, wasn't you? I was sat here talking to him, and he was gone. And then I noticed the float had gone. So what did you think when you seen the float go under?
Well, it was totally different to the other couple of pike I've had, because they was dead like twitchy and slow. That was gone. It was under the water before I even got to the rod.
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa.
It is, isn't it?
It's a totally different experience altogether.
Because when we've been doing this piking, like I said with Baz last year, I taught Baz a bit last year, so you know, techniques for teaching people, and I did say to Mark, you can tell the difference sometimes in the bites, and them last couple of pike we've had, they've been quite twitchy takes, as the pike has been grabbing the bait and turning it, and like I said, when you get that better fish, it's just that steady move off, isn't it?
It obviously took it all straight in its gob, hadn't it? It was under the water before we could even blink.
Yeah. So when it come up and went on that run, I had to bleep some swearing out on this edit, I think.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock to me. There was an old swear word in there. It was like, well, it was in the words of "whoa," in a swear language. Yeah,
and I must admit, like from my point of view, it's such a buzz to see other people enjoying piking and getting people into piking. And when that fish come up on the top of the water, I knew it was a double. I didn't want to say, and that's why I kept saying keep the pressure on. That's my nerves coming out, because I was like, this is the one. And for your third pike,
I made up. I started
really
with a little one, didn't I?
Yeah.
I got the second one, which broke that PB of that one.
Yeah.
This one is the third pike now, and that's another PB broke. Yeah. So 3 pikes.
And do you know what? You know what? You've done really. I'm not just saying this. You've done really well. You've listened. You've picked up all the lessons. And what you needed to do with that pike, you reeled down till you felt it, and as my uncle said, you zollowed its head off and set them hooks, and that you did everything right, and well done, mate.
Well, it got in the net anyway, and it got on the bank, and we got footage, so I've done all right.
It's a lovely pike.
It was a cracking pike.
The colours on it.
Yeah. And it shows the dimensions and the colours from the bigger fish to the smaller fish.
Yeah.
Because you can't really. I know they look nice when they're small, but when you actually get a bigger, you can't actually see it.
You see the colours.
Yeah.
And it's nice with the bigger pike. Sometimes with the bigger pike, not with that one, but sometimes with the bigger pike. What I like about the doubles is, it's with the carping as well. You can see they've had a history.
Oh yeah.
You know, like you can see the marks where they've had a run in when they were younger with another pike.
They're all warriors.
And I love that part about them. But yeah.
I'm made up.
It took me 5 minutes to get him on his seat from looking at his pictures on his phone, because he like a little kid, which is what it's all about, isn't it? It's what it's all about, and that is pike fishing.
It's all new to me. This, so it's nice to look back at the pics.
Yeah. So what we're going to do now, we'll get the kettle on. All that remains is, well done, matey.
Cheers, matey.
Well
Thanks
done.
very much.
Well done. Let's get that brew on. Celebratory brew. You alright, Mucker?
Yeah, it's going to be busy today.
Right, so as you've just seen from that clip there, number of boats gone through. I think I've only recorded 3 or 4 of them, but must be up for 7 or 8 now, mustn't it? Yeah. One of them's come through and said that there's a bit of a function on further up the canal, so it's going to be busy. So what we're going to do is we've moved the rods onto the inside line. There's plenty of colour in the canal now, which isn't such a bad thing. We can put oils in the bait, but it's just a shame that we didn't get longer. But that is early season canal piking. The boats are still very active. It's not cold, it's not warm, but it's mild, isn't it? It's not freezing. As it gets colder, obviously the boats will slow down, but then you lose the colour, so it's give and take. So we put the baits on the inside edge now. We get a bit to eat and just see how many there is, just see how many boats there is come through and how often, and then we'll make a judgment call on what we're going to do. And anyone who watched the series last year, the old pot noodles are a thing of the past. We're living the carping life in a piking winter. It's bacon barbs all around. You can cook particle, and boy can he cook bacon. Master chef.